All right. So it's been a long time since my last episode. I haven't been busy. I just didn't feel like doing another one until I really had something important to talk about. I feel like people put out podcasts just because it's Tuesday, right? Just cluttering up our fucking airwaves. You know what I mean? Next week, talk to me next week. My new episode of my blah, blah, blah bullshit podcast. Just talking just to talk. Just filling up the airways just to fill up the airways. Just filling people with just useless information that doesn't have shit to do with anything. Why? Because you've got to be consistent and people expect you to be predictable and they expect you to, be on a routine. I know I'm going to be able to listen to this person every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, so I can set my schedule to that. And then the person who's doing the podcast feels like they just have to say shit in order to be saying shit because that's what gets people listening and all this other stuff. It's a waste of fucking time. It's a waste of time. I'll do a podcast whenever the fuck I feel like doing a podcast. When I have something to talk about that I feel like talking about. That's when I'll do a new episode. It's not going to be once a week. It's not going to be, twice a month. It's going to be whenever the fuck I feel like it. Set a notification. And listen to it. We got to stop living our lives like that, man. If you really sit, man, if you really sit and think about life, we're fucking slaves, dude. We don't even realize it. We're, psychologically programmed. Fucking slaves. I read an article today. It was talking about Starbucks. Okay, Starbucks, obviously, as we all know, is a coffee company, right? And their job is to sell people shit they don't need, which is basically bean-flavored water, all right? That happens to have caffeine in it, and people feel like they need it to function in life. Anyway, most people have been programmed to drink coffee first thing in the morning. And as a result, they have found that they make most of their money in the morning. Now, in order to boost sales of coffee in the afternoon, because most people don't feel like they need coffee in the afternoon because coffee contains caffeine and caffeine is a drug, and they feel like, typically I think people feel like, well, they've met their caffeine fix first thing in the morning, then they don't really need to, get another hit of their drug until the next day. So instead of just leaving it, maybe finding something else that they could serve people, midday, I don't know, tea? I don't know, just something different. What they did instead is they have now programmed people to buy coffee in the afternoons by changing the prices and making iced coffee cheaper in the afternoon and running promotions and everything like that. And by doing this, so this company decides they want to make more fiat money, more paper. And in order for them to make more money and to meet their bottom line, they have figured out ways to program millions of people into changing their life, altering their life schedules, not for their benefit. They're not saying you know what, I think I should drink coffee in the afternoon instead of first thing in the morning for whatever the fuck reason. They're just if I drink coffee at this time, I save 50 cents. And they think that they're moving of their own free will, but this one company has decided at some board meeting that they want you to buy shit at a particular point in time. And as a result of programming and fucking with you, you're now buying coffee at a certain point of time during the day. That's fucking crazy to me. That's fucking crazy to me that you can just program a gang of people to behave in certain ways. They think that they're moving of their own free will, but they're not. They're fucking slaves. It's carrot on a stick bullshit. Carrot on a stick bullshit. You know what? As I was starting this episode, half my mind was thinking man, what should I call this episode? And then the other part of my brain started drawing a fucking bunny. And I'm 4 minutes and 40 seconds in, and I'm talking about carrots on a stick, and I'm drawing a bunny. Boom. That's the episode. Serendipitous, right? Shit's crazy how things work out. Okay. That part's not that deep. It was a weird kind of coincidence there. I thought I'd bring that to your attention. But yeah, back to what I was talking about. We have no free will. We think we do. We think we're free. But as all these different entities, all these different corporations, all these different people, things, whatever it is that have like fucking structured your life so that you think you're doing something because you want to be doing it, but turns out it's actually because some company is predetermined that they want a certain amount of people to behave in a certain way so that they can do, achieve X, Y, and Z. And so your whole life is now geared to the achievement of other people's goal, even though you think you are free or fucking slaves. Like, man, I don't want to go down that road where, I start attacking, like, if you've got to work for a living or whatever, right? Like, that's not fair. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to attack people. I've seen those memes, like, you get up in the morning, you go to work, you sit in traffic, you work a job that you don't like because you have bills and blah, 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 whatever, you're a slave. I'm not going to echo that sentiment to you because you've heard it, one, and two, it's not fair. We all found ourselves in this fucking world not knowing what the fuck's going on. We just kind of looked around. We're like, what the fuck? Like we just kind of, boom, happened into existence. We just became conscious. And some of us are becoming even more conscious the longer we live. And we're just looking around and seeing other people doing shit. We have no idea what the fuck to do. So we're just doing what other people fucking do. Is that our fault? No. Like, whoever fuck created this place where things just go from non-existence to existence and then back into non-existence again, you would have thought that they would have left a fucking manual so we would understand what the fuck the purpose of this place is, right? But instead, we're human beings just doing the best we fucking can, and we're kind of looking around like, okay, well, people who have come here before me are doing this, so maybe they were doing something people that come before them are doing, and at some point in time, this is all going to make sense, but until then, I'll just do what everybody's doing, which is go to school, get a job, get married, retire, go on vacation, die, right? If you're lucky. So I'm not going to shit on people for following that path. All I want people to do, all I want you to do, you listening, is to just think like, man, like, okay, why am I doing certain things? Like, I still grapple with that, dude. Like, I'm in my 30s, and like part of me is like, man, I really want to like have another kid, all right? And another part of me is like, what the fuck for? But I feel like, okay, well, I'm supposed to have another kid, right? I'm in my 30s. I have one. Well, that's the next step, and I have a daughter, so maybe I should, try for a son. Like, I have any control over that? It's like playing Russian roulette, right? Well, except you don't know. You're not the one with a fucking bullet, right? Somebody's holding a gun up to your head. You don't know what chamber the fucking bullet's in, right? It's 50-50 chance, Okay, I could try. In my mind, I want a son. Maybe that's part of the trick. I give birth to a daughter. I go, okay, well, let me try again. Like, why the fuck does it even have to be a son? Like, what the fuck is wrong with the one I have already? The daughter I have, absolutely nothing's wrong with her. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to have a kid and complicate my life. Like, okay, I'm not saying kids complicate your life, but they fucking do. It's like having a dog, that you're like legally responsible for like their whole existence, or at least you feel legally responsible for, right? Like if you get a dog, like if the dog, like, I don't know, shits on your carpet, like it doesn't matter. Like if you just raise a shitty dog that barks at your neighbors and blah, 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 whatever. And worst case scenario, like the dog just is a bad dog and you put him in obedience school and he just doesn't listen. It doesn't matter. It's a fucking dog. He's going to live. He's going to die. He's in your house. If he breaks the rules in your house, like nothing happens. You don't feel shame that your dog can't, walk on leash without like jumping out. It's a fucking dog. With a human being though, like you're fully responsible for like one, like being the fucking vessel in which this whole new entity enters into this world, right? How irresponsible am I? Like, would I be? Like, honestly, when I sit and think about it, thought about it, like, okay, I want a son. Okay, fine. Let's break this down. Why do you want a son? I don't know. I just kind of want to see, like, what a male version of myself and my husband would look like. I bet the baby would be tall as fuck. And maybe in, like, 18 years, 20 years, he might go play football, in an NFL. And I sit there and I watch, like, let's just say, like, everything works out the way I see it in my head right now, which the odds of that actually happening are like winning the lottery. I might as well go, play the lottery. That's not how life fucking works. You don't just, for the most part, imagine shit consciously, right? And then everything that you imagine just happens, boom, boom, boom. It's usually the unconscious shit that you're like not even realizing that you're thinking about. That's the shit that comes into fruition, right? That's not how life works. But like, let's say I get everything I want. Like I have this like dope kid. The kid's like 6'8", like gets picked for the NFL. Okay, then what? What the fuck? So, okay, I got to go there. My son gets called. I'm sitting there and, I'm on TV for like 3 seconds. I'm probably crying and looking completely ridiculous on TV. Now, some of the moms are cool. They're like, yeah, dad, high-fiving their sons, everything like that. Like, they've got shit to do. Their son's about to get the fuck beat out of him for the next 8 to 10 years of his life by like gigantic men. Like they're gonna crash into. She's just gonna be watching that shit from the stands and saying, "Run me my money for all the work that I did." Driving your ass to football practice and pushing you into doing this because of whatever dream I have in my mind, because I feel like I'm a failure and unable to achieve certain goals. Is that harsh? That's harsh. That is harsh. But it's true. Like I do, I do sometimes feel like maybe there's a part of me that's looking at my life and going like, man, this is not what I thought I would be doing at 30, whatever. All right, well, maybe I should have a kid and then take everything that I know and then like download all that shit into that kid. And then maybe that kid will become like better than me, hopefully. Right? Like, that's why most people, honestly, I think if they sat and they thought about it, I think that's why most people have kids, or they just like are conscious of their mortality. They worked hard to get all this, all this claim and everything like that. And they also see old people around them and they're like, fuck, man, one day I'm going to be old. I want to make sure a part of me survives for whatever the fuck reason you give a fuck. I need a progeny. I need to be able to pass on my genetics in the next generation. Problem with that mentality is like, or those mentalities is like you can guide your kids up, up until a certain point, but these motherfuckers are born with their own personalities, their own hopes and dreams. You know what I mean? Like, let's think about all the shit my mom wanted out of me. Like, I actually kind of feel bad when I think about it. My mom wanted me to be a doctor. My dad wanted me to be a lawyer. And I'm sure that at the time when they thought, let's have kids, like in their mind, they were like, yeah, I'm going to have kids and the kid's going to be like exactly what the fuck I imagined the kid to be. And my brother and I are not those things. I kind of wonder if there's part of them that looks at us and like, we're slightly disappointed in the way you guys turn out as human beings because we kind of had higher hopes for like you and your existence, like, and I'm like, you watch this constant strain of like, kids disappointing their parents. And you start to realize maybe I shouldn't have any fucking kids. Because I'm just setting myself up to be disappointed in 18 to 35 years. Like, stop. And you already have a kid. Like, let her fucking, like, live. And don't try to, like, project whatever, like, your filled fucking hopes and dreams are on your child. Like, stop it. It's not cool. Like, you know what? Like, if I really want to see what my son will look like, I'm sure there's a fucking app or something I can find on the App Store where I can like merge both of our pictures together and we can just like make like 18 sons and see, oh, okay, he's probably gonna be like this and this, and maybe he's gonna be 6, 7 or whatever, like, and then leave it. Okay, so like there's another thought too. It's like, well, not only that, like, well, I hope that when I'm old and shit, like, I want kids so that I don't end up in like just alone and like destitute and without nobody look out for me or visit me during holidays. Yeah, that mentality would have been great like 100 years ago or 200 years ago or whatever, 500 years ago. And maybe in a different culture, but like Western culture does not give a fuck about old people. Like, kids are disrespectful as shit. They don't realize like what their parents, like the sacrifices their parents have given to like make their lives like not as shitty as, theirs. And even if they do realize it on some conscious level, they don't give a fuck until like their kid fucks them over. Like having kids is no guarantee you're not going to like die alone. Like if anything, like I've seen a lot of situations where parents like kids are literally waiting on their parents to die so that they can like take their shit. Like they're looking forward for the parents dying. Like, stop. You know, and here's the other thing. Sorry, I'm eating. Sorry, the munchies. So you heard people chew before and talk. I'm sorry. I'm just being polite. I really don't give a fuck. I'm gonna eat it because I'm hungry. Here's the other thing. I think this through. I don't know what the fuck this world is. Like, I have no idea what this planet is, what this world is, what the fuck we're doing here, what the fuck I was doing. Like, okay, if I did exist before I came to this world, why can't I remember? If I didn't exist, what the fuck am I doing here? Who brought me here? And they give you this bullshit like, oh, there was this big bang and then all this happened and now we're here. But they don't give you any reasons as to fucking why. Or more importantly, like who started the Big Bang. And then I was like reading like a book yesterday. It was by, who's it by? It was by, it's this French writer. I can't think, Montaigne. And this book is fucking long as shit, but it's interesting. He really likes Stoic thinkers. So he really likes like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, like all those niggas or whatever. And he was talking about like how like, was it him? It might have been Epicurus. One of those motherfuckers anyway. We're talking about how like if the way like he broke that shit down, he's basically saying like this is not the only world. All right, there's other planets just like ours. These niggas were saying this shit like thousands of years ago. And now we have scientists saying this shit now and we're acting like, oh, this was like a huge revelation. Like, sit down. Like, honestly, if people actually took the time to study like history and like philosophy, like they would have a better understanding of what the fuck's going on. Like people have had shit figured out. And if anything, they probably knew more about the world back then than they did now. That noise you heard like 5 seconds ago was not me farting. I'm sitting on a leather couch. I moved. Anyway, they had shit figured out way the fuck back a long ass time ago. Like fucking like Plato's algorithm, the cave that niggas talking about, like what y'all seeing right now was shadows. Like none of this shit is real. Like he was saying that like thousands of years ago. Then we have quantum physicists come out and say, oh, like this is a simulation. Ooh, boom, boom, boom. Big surprise. You're not saying anything new, my nigga. In fact, like honestly, I'm noticing like a lot of these people that we call like bestsellers and shit like that are just stealing shit from the old heads that came up with better shit like a long time ago. Like let me talk about Harry Potter. I was thinking about that the other day. Like how, whatever her name is, J.R. Tolkien, the bitch that wrote J.K. Rowling. Like a story, she just took a bunch of pre-existing mythologies and put them together and made a story out of it. Like the reason why it's such a bestseller is because it feels familiar, and the reason why it feels so familiar is because like she's just like copy and pasting shit from the past, like fucking wizards, witches, like an orphan, like that saves the world. Like come on, man, a mother's love. Like all of these elves, dragons, goblins. She didn't invent any of this shit. Like she's making billions of dollars just by stealing a bunch of shit from the past and putting some whack story together. The Boy Who Lived. Come up with some stuff that like didn't exist before you like stole it and put it together. Like Tolkien has done elves. Like who hasn't done elves before she did? I'm not hating on her. I actually like Harry Potter. That's my shit. Like I read that shit in high school like twice. And I've watched all the movies probably 3 or 4 times. Like, I'm not shitting on her, but I'm just saying, like, they're just stealing shit from the past. Those niggas in the past had shit figured out. We have no idea what the fuck we're doing. We act like those niggas were dumb and didn't know shit. But they did. We're backwards. Another thing I was thinking about was, like, our clothes. This is a very random podcast. But listen. Like, think about how, like, fucking bummy we dress now. Do you ever watch period dramas? I'm talking about shit like fucking... Okay, let's say Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is technically a period drama. But like Game of Thrones, like Harlots on Hulu, like, what's that, Poldark. I fucking love period dramas, by the way. I know you guys will listen to like, is this a black person? Black people read philosophy and watch period dramas? Yes, the fuck we do, okay? Okay? You're racist. Anyway, think about the shit that they wore back then, right? Like, think of, like, Queen Elizabeth and, like, her dress. Like, have you seen those fucking paintings from that time period? Like the Rococo period? Man, this shit is elegant as fuck. They have beads, pearls, fucking sequins, like satin, lace, velvet, all in one dress. That shit was heavy as fuck. They had these corsets made out of bones, make your titties sit up. Everybody's hair was fucking crazy. They had all these like curls and shit. You had a servant, a handmaid. I don't know what the fuck they like. The nobility would have people that were like literally was there to like get them up in the morning, brush their hair in like these elaborate ass brushes and have all this like extravagant stuff, and their dresses were just beautiful. You know, just go and walk around all day. They didn't have shit to do. They didn't have TV. They didn't have games. They just walked around, talked to each other, and read books all day. Like, and they're not even like half as technologically advanced as we are now. And if you look at their architecture from that time period, like from the Baroque period and the Rococo period and like the Renaissance, right? And then compare that shit to what we're doing now, where we're like twice, 3 times more advanced than we are. And our fucking houses, modern houses, look like matchboxes. And we call ourselves advanced. We wear fucking like sweatpants. Like, do you look to see how fucking boring fashion is now? Like, seriously, when you walk around in like in a crowd, just look, people. Look at everybody's wearing the same shit. We look like fucking peasants. Like, no, peasants from the medieval period would look at us like, what the fuck are these niggas wearing? Like, everybody's wearing sweatpants or jeans, t-shirts, tank tops, button-ups. That's it. Like, I'm sorry. I want to wear some Baroque shit. I feel like we could probably make something similar to that pretty quickly given the machinery that we have. But I guess labor is expensive. Nobody wants to work minimum wage, right? They keep raising minimum wage, so things are so expensive that like even if they were to take the time to like make something like that, they'd probably charge an arm and a leg for that. I don't know. I'm assuming. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't have a problem with the wages being raised. It's just, I feel like that just causes inflation. Because here's the thing. Most business owners, if they're going to pay, like they want to make money, right? So if they're paying their workers $15 an hour and then the workers demanded to get paid more, okay, fine. We'll pay you $20 an hour. That business owner, you think he's going to eat that $5 that he's got to give to his employee every hour? No. He's going to raise his prices on everything, and then you get to pay for it. It's not coming out of his pockets. It's not coming out of his profits. It's just making shit more expensive for everything. So everything's just artificially inflated now. Right? Look, we're not really gaining anything by raising the minimum wage. It's just going to end up being like something you could buy for $1 is going to end up costing, like you're going to have to pay $25 for it pretty soon because of this bullshit. Like there's other ways, you know, to fix the problem that we have. Like maybe the government, instead of wasting trillions of dollars on bullshit like wars and things that don't matter, we could take that money and, you know, build infrastructure that people could actually afford, right? Like affordable housing, right? And or maybe stop fucking taxing us to death because you guys are wasting the money on bullshit anyway. Like maybe balance the budget. Like, has anybody tried doing that, or we're just gonna keep spending ourselves into like what's after $1 trillion? Because we're in $1 trillion in debt. So what's after that? And then like who the fuck do we owe money to? Trillions of dollars in debt. They have printed. Oh wait, that's true. They don't print money anymore. That's how come it's been able to go up to $1 trillion. Because if there was a machine that just kept spitting out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they would have figured out an issue. But now somebody's just adding a zero onto the computer. Boom, 30. Boom, 300. Boom, 300. Like, oh, you go to the bank. Hey, I want to, you know, transfer money from this account to this account. Okay, just push some numbers. We don't even have real money anymore. Like, I think they said it was only like 1% or anywhere from 1 to 5% of money that's actually still in print. Right? Everything else is digital now. So if all of us decided, hey, I want to go deposit my money, or to pull out my money from the bank, they're not going to be able to give you the money because the money doesn't exist. We're trading digital currency. We've slipped there, which takes me a step closer to the fact that I'm like, all right, like, this is definitely a game at some point, right? When you play The Sims, you start out with simoleons like in your account. I mean, if you guys are just making like arbitrary. You're not even printing money anymore, so there's no like material that's required, right? It's just digits, demerits, credits. That's the next step. It's not going to be money anymore. You'll just be getting credits now for stuff. In about 50 years, they're going to get rid of money because there's nothing in print. There's nothing that's tangible anymore. You know? Anyway, what happens next? I first of all think that if we're going to shift away from money and everything is just like fake now and, digital, then every person should just start out with money in their bank account. Like every kid that's born should just be given like 10000. Why? Like it doesn't cost anything for you guys to print it, and it's probably gonna, if that person that types 10000 into this person's account is getting paid like $15 an hour. It took literally 5 seconds. Like it literally costs nothing to create money now. Nobody's paying attention to that or figure that out. So like, if we're going to go that route, then let's just take the next step further and put money in people's account when they're born. You know what I mean? But maybe if you just start out with money, all of us, everybody's given $100,000 and money is not that big of a fucking deal. And if you want to, buy things like house and cars and things like that or whatever, you've got it. You got enough money in $100K, depending on where you live, to buy, at least a condo. I mean, a teenager doesn't need more than that to buy a condo, to buy a car, and to take care of themselves. If you want to go to college should be free. If you want to get an education, college should be free. You know why? Because pretty much everything you need to exist to fucking know now is on the internet for free. So why are they charging us like hundreds of thousands of dollars after 4 years to get that information that you can get for free? Fucking scam. Maybe 100 years ago when the internet didn't exist, it would make sense for that to happen. But the internet exists now. Anything you can get a degree and I can learn for free on fucking YouTube. Honestly. But we are like the human mind is so slow. We haven't caught up to that. That like technology has taken us to another level that we need to catch up to. School should not be that expensive. It should be free. In America, we haven't figured that out yet. Other countries have. We're still being stupid. But then, yeah, if you start off with money and just enough to get your basic needs met, that helps the economy. Right? Nobody's like killing each other. You got money. Now, if you want to make more than that, great. If you don't, okay. So, I don't know, find something to do. Who cares if the government's giving you money? If you just want to sit on your ass and that's how you want to live, that's fine. That's a game. When I go and play The Sims, if I just want to sit on my ass, like the people who created the games, they don't care. I think that's how we should live. And if you want to make more money than that, you want to start your own business, you want to be like a quadrillionaire or whatever, then go for it. I just feel like it's fucked up. People having kids they have no reason having, because they feel like if they're lucky, they give birth to a gigantic, gladiator-looking motherfucker, that dude might make it to the NFL and make millions of dollars, more money than that person will ever see in their whole entire life without their child. But man, that's a lot of pressure for a person who has no idea what the fuck we're doing on this planet and how we got here. They come in, they're brought in here. The mom takes care of them, suffers for them, gives them everything. And then at the end of it, they feel like they owe something to this person. What if that person didn't want to play football? What if that person wanted, I don't know, be like an artist or a dentist or something like that, but they can't. Like they have somebody else's dream attached to them before they're even born. Somebody else's hopes and dreams and aspirations and everything that they wish for attached to them before they're even born. They're living for other people, for people they care about, which essentially is slavery. Brings me back to my beginning point of this podcast. Like, how many of us are really living the lives that we want to live? And aren't just being like programmed subliminally. We don't even realize it. Are you? We're all slaves.